Okay, we are recording. Hello, Rachel. Welcome to your onboarding meeting.
All right.
Okay, so what I was just saying is that you don't need to know anything about Dubsado for this. We just need to go through your client process. And I've got kind of a starting workflow here that we can 100% customize, not tied to anything that's listed here. It'll just kind of guide us. And this is pretty similar to what a lot of other photographers use. So we can edit wherever we need. We'll just start from there. So first thing that happens is the client fills out a form on your website inquiring. And then that automatically creates the project in Dubsado. We don't have to set up anything special for that. It does it automatically. And then it'll start this workflow. So on the lead capture, they're going to be selecting what they're interested in, whether that's wedding or one of the other types of photography that you offer. Cool. So then they'll come in, their project status will be new inquiry. We'll add the tag wedding. And then, sorry, my lawnmower is here. I don't know how loudly you can hear that. So
it's not bad.
Then you were just saying you set up like a Zoom call. What do you call that call or that appointment?
What do I call it? Probably like a proposal, like a meet and greet, I guess.
I like that. Meet and greet. Okay. And so what does that like first communication look like with that? You know, like, hey client, thanks for reaching out about your wedding. So excited to get to know you more. Like, will you please take a minute to schedule a call? Or can we hop on Zoom for a bit or something like that?
Yeah, something like I usually say like
you say what?
Saying something about like I'd love to, hear more about your wedding day. Can we set up a call or something like that? Usually is what I say.
And then now we'll say you can book by using the link below. Do you ask them to fill out any kind of questionnaire or anything as part of booking that, or just straight?
The initial meeting, no.
Okay. Don't need that. We probably do need a step in here, correct me if I'm wrong, to have you check the date to make sure it's okay for this email to go.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, that's like usually one of the things I ask initially is like, when's your date? Because I don't want to waste their time being like giving them all this information and then being like, actually, I'm booked for that date. So
we'll make sure that's on the inquiry form. And then let me go grab my to-do. And I'll make that fit in there later. But
so it's my understanding that these would like send automatic emails, right?
So what we'll do is we'll build in the workflow. It's called a to-do. And so basically the scheduler will not go unless you check off this to-do.
Gotcha.
Will be what we do.
I could send like a second email, like, so say if they hit like a date that I'm booked, can like another email go out that says like, so sorry, we're booked. Here's some photographers that you might,
Yeah. So
like referrals.
Well, what I'll do is I'll write an email for that. You will have to manually send that at this point. Okay. But you can like pull it from your library so you don't have to like retype it every time.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Send it and move on.
Cool.
So then this will be Okay. So we'll have that to do in there for you to check the date for your wedding clients. And then we'll send this meet and greet. Now, Dubsado sends a confirmation email whenever someone schedules an appointment with you automatically. We can change what's in it, but we can't change the timing or the fact that it happens. But then we can go ahead and send a reminder of the appointment. So when would you like that reminder to go?
Do you think 24 hours is a good amount of time? Usually I'll check in like sometimes if I wait to 24 hours, I'll get an email or a text before like from the client. So maybe like 48 hours. That way they're not going to like beat me to it.
And then maybe you said it was Zoom.
For what? Oh, Zoom. Yeah.
So maybe also 1 hour. Because sometimes I find that people just forget. Like they know their appointments, they're planning on being there. But
yeah.
Unlike with phone where you can call them, like they don't have to remember.
Yeah. That makes sense. And that way, if it's like something like I book it on a Tuesday and they want to have a conversation on Wednesday, that 1 hour reminder should be sufficient.
Yep. Absolutely. Cool. Okay. So then what happens after the appointment?
So I definitely follow up with an email. I usually will include the prices again. They already have them. So I don't know if you think resending that is a good idea or if I should only send it in the follow-up email and not the initial. What do you think?
That's actually what I was about to ask. And I think either way is totally fair and legitimate. So do we need a link in this email for your pricing? Like, are they looking at their pricing before they book this appointment with you? Honestly, it's hard because like obviously on the call when you're like making a connection is when they're more likely to be like, yes, I want to spend this money with you, but at the same time, don't waste your time with people who can't afford you. So
right. That's exactly what it is. It's like filter out the people who might not want to spend $4,000 on a wedding, but also convince someone that you're worth the $4,000 for a wedding.
How are you doing it now? Do they see your pricing beforehand?
Most of the time, yeah.
I
don't really, my goal is definitely not to keep doing, 5-hour weddings for $1,600. Like, now that we're fostering and stuff, like I just don't have the time. So, I mean, what about having something that includes like pricing starting from, blah, 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 but then having like a detailed thing after?
Is that on your website, your starting prices?
Yeah, which I need to update.
Yeah.
My full price sheet is not on my website, but it says like packages beginning at this amount.
I would say, I think being transparent is better than not. I think we should plan on putting it in there and then like you could take it out if it's not working for you. Like if you're finding not getting people booking those calls even, then maybe we change the process. What does your pricing guide look like right now? Is it a Word document? Is it a PDF? Is it a page?
It's a PDF.
Okay. So,
and I made it on Canva so I can like edit it and change it really easily.
So what we should do, so we have a couple of options. One, you can redesign the entire thing on a hidden page on your website.
Okay.
Or number two, we can grab the Canva view link and we can send that instead of the PDF. The reason I recommend that is that way, no matter what the client, whenever they click, maybe they are going to click like 4 months after, then they're 4-month-old prices. If we do the link, then they'll click that link 4 months later and see your current rates because they hadn't booked you with it. So pricing guide Canva view link. So I'll request that from you later.
Okay.
So then when we're following up after that appointment, so this is going to be, you know, thanks so much for your time on our call. Based on our conversation, you're not really putting it together. You're not putting this together based on their conversation. It's going to be like, you know, I really loved getting to know you. And I think that we would, wow, there are so many types of things. Have a blast on your wedding day. You know, when you're ready to book, you can click the link below to access your proposal. Accept it, sign the contract, make your first payment.
Cool. Very concise.
Book your day. This is not the exact email. This is like the spirit of the email, so that like you know what to do, and so that like for my own note-taking abilities, like when I go to write this email, I'm like, this is what needs to be in this.
Yeah.
So we'll send the proposal at that point. We'll probably call it something like, you know, book your wedding day, because they see the name of the form. That's like what the link is that they click. So we want that call to action to be, you know, we want it to be a call to action, and we want it to be kind of fun, like book your wedding day. Okay. So I've got that. So what I'm hearing, I don't know if this is where you're at, but what I'm hearing is that it's probably time for you to move away from doing any custom packages if you are still doing those.
I have not done a custom package in a while.
Okay. So is this
maybe,
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, just like maybe like a small thing, like I have a couple that might be booking a smaller package, but adding like a second photographer, because only one of my packages right now does not include a second photographer. And I need to decide if I want to do away with that. Like it's basically like, you know, the smallest hours possible. You could get basically everything, but I'm kind of trying to push that out.
Well, but even that, we could list the second photographer as an add-on under that package, and they can just book it. You don't have to customize that. Like they can just book if they want that. Yeah. As long as you're okay with always offering the second photographer on that package.
Yeah, that's fine.
For an extra fee. So the reason I asked that is because right now I've got this set to go like 1 hour after the appointment's ended. So that meet and greet. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So then as soon as we send that proposal, the project status changes to proposal sent. And then I recommend that we build in some follow-ups for if they have not booked at that point. So we have the project status follow-up, and then we would just send a friendly follow-up to see if they're still interested in booking you. Automatically all. And then if they still don't book after that, they would move into the status of cold lead. So assuming that seems like a good flow to you, then my next question is just, what do you want the timing to be? Because we don't have to stick with the timing I have listed here, of course.
That seems good. My only question is, do you think 7 days is long enough for a cold lead? I'm just thinking of people who are like, I would say on average, people either book with me like fairly quickly, or you know, you get ghosted. But every once in a while, I do get people that are like, hey, it's been 2 weeks. Sorry, we got busy. We want to book you.
Well, so we could add like another reminder and push the cold lead out if you want. The thing to know is that putting them in the status of cold lead doesn't change the way the project works. They could still go on and fill out your form and book you. And at the point that they did, their workflow would automatically move them into the right status.
Okay, cool.
So it's not, this would just mean when you're looking at that like overview that we looked at with the numbers, that like they're going to show up in the whole status rather than in the follow-up. But if you wanted another follow-up, we could do that as well.
No, I definitely don't want to bug them.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to be like, hey, don't forget it. No.
What if we push it for like 10 days?
That sounds good.
Okay. And then 4 days for following up. So we had the meet and greet. They received their proposal 4 days ago. They still haven't booked. We're sending an email then.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good.
So then hopefully we don't do that very often. Hopefully we just get right to the client accepting the proposal and signing the contract. That's the point when they're going to move into that waiting for retainer. I like to have that there just in case like someone books on a Wednesday and they're like, okay, I'm going to pay on Friday, when I get paid. So I've got that there, not through your workflow, but there will be an automation to remind them that they've got this payment due via your payment schedules. So that is something along the lines of, hey client, thanks so much for signing your contract. I'm excited to work with you, but just so you know, or just so you remember, like I'm not officially booked until you make this payment. Like I'm not until you make this payment. So then the client pays. And then at that point, they would move from a lead to a job and they would get placed in that upcoming status. We'll send an automatic email payment confirmation. This one's pretty like generic sounding. This is not full of personality. This is like, professional.
Got your money. Check.
And then let me see what you put on your form. Would you like to use the client portal? It occurs to me now you may not have even seen the client portal.
Yeah, when I was looking at that, I put no because I wasn't sure if it would work, but I think this would be good.
Okay.
Don't you? I mean,
so it kind of depends on how many documents we're about to send them throughout this whole process. So we could, so what I just make sure I understand, you're thinking now you would like it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we can also make it a note that it's like, if we're not really sending much, then let's not like introduce this layer of confusion.
Okay.
So I'll leave it in here for now, but I'm going to say like, if we don't send more than like 3 forms, let's not do the portal.
Okay. That's what I wasn't sure, because I was thinking like, well, I don't do a ton now, but it would be nice to have like a little more organization when it comes to like family portraits and timelines, because I've been doing most of that like on my own. Like I would type it all up, and like I said, anything I can make a little bit easier and I can cut my time at my computer and focus more on my kids, that's a good thing.
Well, and you've actually, I can't remember if you would have seen one or not before I like kind of started changing the way I was doing it. But I had a wedding questionnaire in Dubsado, and then I had a Dubsado like shot list and timeline questionnaire where I would like fill in the family formal shot list, I would fill in the timeline and ask for their revisions, and then I would send them the final copy through Dubsado. So we can still do all of that. You don't have to use the portal for that. We would just be sending it via email. And I think clients end up looking anyway, like particularly the fact that you're not working with other businesses, like they're just regular people. I think that they are more likely to just go look for a link in their email than they are to go like look for a link to log into a portal to then to their
makes sense.
In the portal. So, but it also adds like a level of like, wow, look how like professional she is. Like I get portal, so like it all that way. So we'll leave it there for now.
Okay, cool.
So assuming that we leave it, then the first thing that we're going to do is send a client portal guide. And so this email is going to include whatever you tell me it includes, but it's also going to introduce them to their portal. So, usually this would be like, thanks so much for booking. We are official. Now that all that's out of the way, I'm excited to introduce you to your client portal, to your very own client portal, which we can also name that whatever you want. That doesn't have to be its name.
Okay.
Like the client lounge or something like that.
Cool.
Hang on, I'm going to take a note real quick. So. Okay. So that's like just kind of a Dubsado thing that we need to do to introduce them to that. So what would you usually do? A client just booked, or what's your ideal state? A client just booked, what's the first thing they receive from you?
So for weddings, once they book, they'll get my engagement guide, which is basically a rundown of locations. It talks a little bit about like what to wear, why hair and makeup's important, like kind of stuff like that.
Okay, so my recommendation would be that we split that out into a separate email, because here's what I can do. And if I need to pull Dubsado up again so that like you can visualize this, I can absolutely do that here. I might just go ahead and do it. So what I recommend is that we send them a different form to get their engagement session booked,
Okay.
scheduled rather, so that a new project is created for the engagement session separate from the wedding project. That way, the engagement session can move through all of your statuses for the job so that you can see that you still have, you know, Joe and Mary's like wedding is coming up, but like you're editing their engagement session, kind of a deal.
That makes sense.
Okay. Actually, with the way that works, there's no reason we couldn't also include that in here. But even then, I would say, let's get it booked and then send the engagement guide. Does that make sense to you?
So my only question is, in my engagement guide, it talks about like locations and stuff. Like these are the best locations if you want this look. This is the best, like, let's go on an adventure, let's travel to this place, you know what I mean? So I don't know, because if they want to go to like Kentucky, that's going to be a different kind of booking than if they want to go downtown Indy.
Sorry, let me back up one step. The engagement guide, is that also like a Canva design thing where we could send the Canva view link?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have it saved as a PDF, but we can make it a link.
I just recommend, so basically in Dubsado, if we send a PDF as like an attachment, well, okay, we can only send one Dubsado thing at a time in an email. And a Dubsado thing includes forms, and PDFs are considered a form. So I can't send a form and a questionnaire. Like I can't send a client portal guide and a questionnaire that actually asks questions. I can't send a questionnaire and a scheduler linked separately in the same email. I can only send one Dubsado thing at a time. So once you upload it, it's considered a Dubsado thing. So if I send that, then I can only send that. And then the second disadvantage is that anytime you update it, you have to delete the old one, re-upload it, and then go into your workflows and reattach it. So you have to go like edit your workflows. If you the links, you don't have to touch your workflows. You can just make your changes and then it's all done, and like you don't have to worry about how Dubsado work. So that's what I always recommend, that we do as many like evergreen links as possible instead of PDFs.
Right. Yeah, that's fine. And I'm like not opposed to making a hidden page on my website, because it doesn't hurt to have more traffic to your website. So
yeah. Well, and that would be, so if we want to do the engagement, you know, the Canva links for now, because they're already designed, then great. And then that can be like a project you take to like put it on your website. And then whenever you get it done, it's really easy to switch out a link. Like it's a lot easier to switch that out than to switch out a PDF in your workflows. So, you know, I think, especially knowing everything you have going on, like let's continue what you already have done instead of like pinning this process on you needing to do more work.
Makes sense.
So check out my engagement guide. Does the engagement guide have information in it? So I know you just mentioned on location, but does it also have like education about like what time of day?
Maybe. I think I do talk about that. I can look. Here we go. Location, outfits, hair and makeup. No, I think it's something I just usually talk about. Like, these are the best times, but I can include it.
Okay. I think that would be a good thing to add. I was just curious. I'm trying to think through the sequence of how these things should go.
Yeah.
Because with you mentioning like being willing to travel, how often do you think you're going to travel for an engagement session?
I'm thinking like, so my engagement session or season this year, I have gone outside of Indianapolis, I would say 30% of the time.
That's a good percentage. So I think that your process is going to be a little bit different than what I might usually do. I think we should send this engagement guide, say like, please spend the next few days reading over this, like give them a few days, and then maybe 3 days later, let's send them a questionnaire rather than a scheduler. That's like a session planner. You know, it's like, so based on everything you read in the guide, and we'll link the guide again just in case. Sorry.
That's okay.
The lawnmower is in my backyard. And so the dogs have been like, yo, someone's here.
Someone's here, Mom. Someone's here, Mom. Danger, danger.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out what my lawnmower was doing. He's picking up all the dog toys out of my yard, which is definitely something I should have done. All right, having fun here.
It's a good day.
The dog's barking. So, here's what I'm thinking. So check out my engagement guide. Take a few minutes to read through this in the next few days. Over the next few days. I'll be reaching out soon to actually get this scheduled. Okay. So we're going to send that. Let's send that, maybe half an hour after they've made their payment.
Well,
I like to make it seem like you could have seen that they booked and then typed this email yourself.
Yeah,
like
personal.
You know what I mean? Our goal is not to sound automated, even though we are.
Yeah.
So we'll send the client portal guide. We'll send the engagement guide at that time as well. And then I would say we'll do, what do you think? Maybe 3 days is when we'll actually reach out with a questionnaire.
Yeah, sounds good.
And actually, we're going to make this a lead capture. So here they're just reviewing information. Here's where the first time we're actually asking them to fill in some information, and we're going to make that a lead capture so that it creates that new project that we talked about, so that their engagement session is separate from their actual, wedding workflow. So we're going to say this is 3 days after scheduled payment completed. So then the engagement session planner. So, hey client, have you had a chance to read through my engagement guide yet? And then we'll link that.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in the sentence, linked. I'd love to start planning this process. This is actually going to be a send email. Since we're, okay. When you have a few minutes, please fill out the form below to let me know what you're envisioning. And then on that, we'll have questions about what season maybe, because that might help us narrow down as well. If you're booking far out, they may want a different season than what it is at the time that they're booking. So we can ask what season, what location, all that kind of stuff will be on here.
Okay, cool.
We could also, just depending on what you want, we could link to a few galleries, maybe of your favorite locations around Indy. Or your favorite locations, that are destination as well if you want. It's kind of whatever you want.
Cool.
So possible link to galleries. So it would just be your favorites. So then the client will fill out that form, and that's going to automatically start a new workflow.
Okay.
So, well, a new project and a new workflow. So I imagine that this will get kind of tangly as we consider our, as we continue our conversation on like, okay, well now I'm doing this for the engagement session versus this for the wedding. So this will be wedding engagement session because you could definitely have just an engagement session with someone. So what happens next? And you can say what happens next with the engagement or with the wedding, whatever like feels natural, whatever seems like the next logical thing for us to talk about.
Okay. So, I mean, as far as after I finish an engagement session, I mean, my timeline is like 2 to 3 weeks for them to get the gallery. I mean, that would be the next step, wouldn't it? Is them getting there.
Well, we've got a lot of steps before the
okay.
we actually get to editing. So I guess, so if we want to do the engagement session, so this is going to be, you know, we're going to change, this is going to be a new project. We're going to change it to the status to not scheduled.
Oh, okay. I'm following you now.
Yeah. We're going to add a tag. Where's my, for engagement. So at this point, they have told you their vision, but you don't actually have it scheduled.
Okay.
So like actually getting the session scheduled is the next step. And just based on what you told me, there are a couple different ways to do it. You know, like I said, I do like to kind of push you to use the scheduler, but
yeah,
at the same time, you know, maybe this makes sense for you if this is like an internal scheduler. So rather than sending, so you will kind of, you'll review your client's, you know, session planner, and you'll kind of continually talk back and forth with them to narrow down like what, where, when, and then you could fill out an internal scheduler on behalf of the client. And then that will make the confirmation go and the reminders go automatically without like having to set up a new workflow. And it just kind of gives you a little bit more control over the calendar, since like if you're going out of town, you need different availability than if you're staying in town.
Right.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
So then we're going to have, I'm just going to take all of this. So we are going to have a to-do for you to solidify engagement session location, season, if not also date. We'll just say date because you're filling out the scheduler, date, and other details. That will email you a reminder to do that.
Cool.
And then this is, and the other thing about it being internal is that means that we can just, like, your availability on that is going to be basically wide open because you're the only one who can see it. So we don't have to worry about you like double booking anything. So we don't need this. So this is project only. I actually will probably, go ahead and attach a form to this where that you can fill in what your final decision was on location and like any other details about that. You'll just very easily fill it in on a form attached to the scheduler. So that'll happen at the same time. And so then we will do that automatic confirmation. And then when would you like them to be reminded of their session? Still 2 days before?
That sounds good.
Okay. Do you send, so I know we had like the engagement guide already that they read as part of the, you know, like pre-booking process for their engagement session. Do you send any other guides or anything like reminding them how to dress, or should we have an email in here that's like, hey, make sure you refer to this section of your engagement guide as you're preparing, like that kind of thing?
Sure. And like usually I tell them like if they have questions or like want to send it to me, like I usually, you know, I'll put my input out there for them if they need help. So like including something like, let me know if you need help with your styling, because to me, making sure that they're styled well, like benefits everyone. You know, it makes my images look better, it makes them look better, it makes them happier with their final images. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I don't know if you were reading all that. Usually I talk as I type, but I wasn't in that moment. So,
That's okay.
you know, hey client, how are things going? Are you getting excited for your session? I just wanted to check in to see how prep is going. As a reminder, I got tons of tips and tricks on getting styled for your session in my engagement guide. If you're having trouble getting your outfit solidified, I'm happy to help. Feel free to send me some pictures of your outfits and I'll help you get it all perfected.
Yeah, great.
Like that. So what do you think? Maybe like 2 weeks before the session, 10 days before the session?
Yeah. Let's do 10 days. Let's do that. Because sometimes my new clients are like, all right, let's get it in next week. And it's like, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So we send that 10 days before. Then they'll also get their reminder 48 hours before. Is there any other communication that happens with them prior to their session?
I don't think so.
Okay. So then we have the session. And then our project status is going to change to editing. Okay, and then we will do a to-do in here for editing. It doesn't necessarily need to email you. It's more to just like stop the workflow from going any further before you've got that done.
Okay.
So attention. Probably no. So as you're editing, well, and I put all that in there now, but do you send, or would you like to send maybe an email like an hour after the session that's just like, hey, I had so much fun with you, like I'm now going to be editing and here's like the timeline you can expect from me?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Just like to reiterate, because at the end of my session I do it, but just to have them have it like
in writing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, hey client, had so much fun with you at your session. Now I'm about to start working hard on editing your photos. Do you do sneak peeks or just full gallery? Or do they know about sneak peeks, or are those a surprise?
So I usually send them like one or two sneak previews, and I send those like wherever they have been communicating with me. So like if we've mostly been emailing, I send it like via email. If we've been texting, I send it like via text.
Okay.
But I'm open to something that's, the most professional. I just do that because it seems like the whatever form they're communicating with me is usually like what they prefer to communicate through. So, but yeah.
Well, I have a few things. So
Yeah.
one of them is to say, and I guess I'm making an assumption here, but that's okay. I'm going to move forward with it. I think something like Dubsado, where you're automatically sending emails, is going to just kind of establish some different like client expectations, like setting your boundaries a little bit differently. If you don't mind like texting with some, emailing with some, then that's fine. You do you. But it sounds exhausting to me to try to keep up with who I'm communicating with where. And
sure.
even my couples, I only ever communicated with via email until like the day of the wedding, or like at the session I could see being like, hey, I'm here. Yeah. Other than that, it was pretty much always email. So that kind of shift sounds good. For sure. Or if you don't mind doing.
It definitely does. I think email is probably going to be the best thing, just because we are booking like significantly more weddings than we were like a year ago. So it makes sense to kind of keep things uniform.
Yeah. So
we used to know more of our clients. So now we're getting less like people we know and more just, clients because they like our work. So.
Okay. So let's plan on it being email. But so my next question for like finishing up this email, do they know about the sneak peeks, or are they a surprise?
I usually let them know like, hey, I'll send you like a preview in the next, I usually say 48 hours.
Okay.
And then you'll get your full gallery 2 to 3 weeks is my timeline for that.
I'm going to say 3 weeks. And then if you do 2, then you over delivered.
Woohoo.
And then what if we do something cheeky here? Like you can expect your full gallery within 3 weeks. And maybe a few previews way sooner than that.
Yeah.
With like a winky face or something. Do you do?
Yeah, right. That sounds good.
Okay. Sorry, I gotta find something where I can copy the winky face emoji.
Yeah, right.
Got it. Oh, that didn't work.
Okay.
All right, we'll just do winky face. Okay. Talk soon. All right. So we'll send that maybe an hour after the session.
That sounds good.
So okay. And then you edit. And who do you use for your galleries?
I have Pixie Set.
Okay. Do you send your galleries through Pixie Set right now? Like, do you use like Pixie Set's like send email feature, or do you grab the link? Okay. So here's
I've done the link thing. I've done like if I am sharing it, like again, if I'm texting them, if they prefer that, I'll just copy the link. But like 95% of the time I send through a Pixie Set, but I can copy the link if it's easier to keep it in the workflow.
Well, at this point, it's up to you. So we could have you add the link into Dubsado and then send from Dubsado. The downside to that is that it's just more work for you than like sending it through Pixie Set. But the good thing is that if you're sending it through all of the so another big shift is that all of the emailing that you do with your client from now on should be through Dubsado. Like even like manual communication, you should email them through Dubsado, because then there is this like record of all of the communication that you had with them. And if you
Yeah.
just Gmail, you don't have this. This is also available in their portal. So since we're, showing them the portal, then like they could go to their portal to find an email if they're having trouble finding it in their inbox. And so this is an actual wedding I did. Did you shoot this one with me? I did. I think you might have.
I don't remember.
Oh no, yeah, you were not available. So this was my very last wedding, and just so you know,
Oh yes. Yeah.
So you can add a link. So this is a Cloud Spot link, but you can do it with Pixie Set as well. You can add the link directly to their like forms tab, and then this would show up in their portal.
Okay.
Then you can like click there. So like I said, but it's a few more clicks for you, but then it's all centralized here. So it's just a matter of whether you really care whether or not all of it's centralized. And if you don't,
yeah, whatever's going to keep me organized, because yeah, that's going to be the most important thing. So I don't have to keep it all in my head. If it's all in one place, that's what I'm going for.
Okay, so let's do this. So add Pixie Set gallery link. Do you send, are the previews, do you send via Pixie Set, or do you just attach a few photos?
I just attach a couple.
So you may start needing to do that via Pixie Set, because you can only manually attach one file.
Right.
I believe.
That's fine. I had a engagement session where they like booked an additional, like they wanted more time. And so I sent them like a little bit of each. We did like 3 setups. So I sent that through Pixie Set, and then I just upload the rest of it to that same link when it's all done.
Okay, so we're going to add the sneak peek preview Pixie Set gallery link as a one-time link to the forms tab. And then we'll send it using a canned email. So you're going to manually send it, but we'll have the email all like prepared. So you just hit send, and you can customize it if you want, but you won't have to.
Okay, cool.
And then we're going to just duplicate this, but for the final gallery. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then check this off once sent. Okay. And I am going to have this remind you 10 days after appointment has ended. Which, like, maybe getting that reminder will even help you like be ahead of schedule. And if not, it's okay. But I want it to be there. I want it to be created by the time you're ready for it. So that's why it's a little earlier than when it's actually due. But yeah.
Cool.
So then you send the final gallery. What happens after that?
So when it comes to weddings, it would be like our first consultation. And that's kind of like, I'm learning kind of the feel of their day. We could talk about timeline. It's basically like setting it up.
So
like,
okay, that makes sense. So do you always do that after the engagement session, or is that more tied to when the wedding is?
Yeah, so if they say they book me, they book me in December, then and they want their engagement photos to be like summer, we might do that that consultation before their engagement photos.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let's not. So these emails over here are gonna not probably really mention the wedding workflow, because other than just like so excited for your wedding, because
Yeah.
these two work, like this is a different project, a different workflow. They're not gonna be able to talk to each other. So it's not
Okay.
gonna know how far away the wedding is or anything like that.
Mhm.
So we'll just end that there with sending the final gallery.
Cool.
So then here, how long before the wedding do you want to schedule that first consultation? That's probably going to be the most concrete way to do this.
Yeah. So I guess I'm open to what you think is a good idea, because it just, so much of it depends. Like, again, if I'm booking like January, which typical, a lot of my weddings are booked like right after Christmas. Their wedding could be June, their wedding could be October, their wedding could be June of next year.
So tell me the points of both of the consultations.
Both the consultations. I think like the first one is really them just like, tell me about your wedding day. Tell me what at like the end of it, what you want to remember. So I can kind of like prioritize their hours. We talk about their location, about what else? Kind of like their do's and their don'ts. Like I really don't like superposed photos. I like more candid. It is just like an extended get to know you, answer questions, because the second consultation is really like, let's nail down the timeline. I need to nail down your shot list. Give me any information I need about family dynamic, that kind of stuff.
All right, I'm going to say something radical. What if you did either of these consultations? What if these were questionnaires? Or,
I mean,
or what if you kept one, if part of this is like relationship building and that kind of thing?
yeah. What I find is that if I'm more hands off as far as if I do questionnaires, because I've tried that before, like fill this out. Like I think they are more nervous and like think that, but I guess with like the emails going out, they still feel like they're communicating with me. I think I'd be down for like maybe making it one consultation and then making it closer to the date. I definitely want to at least have one, because I really think it does help my couples feel like, I don't know, the day is going to be well handled.
So here's my
Yes.
Here's my proposal. I think that we should send a wedding questionnaire,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to ask them things like family dynamics, what shots do you want? We can ask about their style, that kind of thing. Like all of that's going to be on a questionnaire. We're also going to ask them, information about their shot list, about their timeline, all that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to send that, and then that is going to allow you to prepare the shot list and timeline, which will be a Dubsado form. So it'll be a template that you can just customize based on what they fill into the questionnaire. And then have a call maybe a month before the wedding, if you think that's far enough out, to go over the shot list and timeline rather than just sending it to them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so to build that in Dubsado, does that work for you? Like, do you feel like that's a good connection?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm also kind of wondering, like, maybe it's not in your workflow, maybe it's somewhere in your like marketing materials or something. I'm just wondering, like, we could mention somewhere along the way, like, we are going to have a call 1 month before your wedding. That way they know. And like,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to talk about your shot list and your timeline and all that stuff. That way they know it's coming, and it's not like,
yeah.
I don't know. I think that would help with what you were talking about with like feeling connected.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's then send the wedding questionnaire I'm thinking 8 weeks before the wedding.
Okay.
So that gives them a month to get it filled out.
Mhm.
And we're not going to tell them they have a month, but it gives them like a drop-dead month to get it filled out. So
Yeah.
we're going to say, hey client, the big day is getting super close. In order to make sure I am 110% prepared, I have a few questions I need you to answer. Please fill out the form below within 2 weeks. I will use this information to put together your family formal shot list and wedding day timeline, which we can then discuss at our pre-wedding consultation about a month out from your wedding day. So like, does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay.
Love it.
Generally. Okay. So then, you will get a to-do once they've completed it. So completed wedding questionnaire, customized shot list and timeline. Then we will have the, oops, I don't know what just happened. Okay. Okay. So then we will have, this is not going to them. Or I might change that actually, but for now, we'll do this as a shot list and timeline draft. So here's kind of what I'm thinking, why I'm like trying to decide what I'm doing here. This will look funny in the workflow, but it would technically work. So I'm thinking after the call, you email them the shot list and the timeline so that they like have the copy of it and can refer to it. But in this flow chart, it's going to look like you need to have access to it up here when you're customizing it, but this is where we're sending it. So,
okay.
So check this off once customized. So then we're going to send them, so you call this the consultation, and we'll have an email. It's going to say, hey client, thanks again for completing that questionnaire. I know it was long and painful, but it helped me put together the perfect shot list and timeline for you. I always like to really make sure that this is family formal shot list, so they don't think that like you're planning out every shot for the whole day.
Right.
So help you put together the perfect family formal shot list and timeline for you. Please schedule our consultation so that we can go over it together and make any necessary changes. Use the link below. Dang it. I'm trying to get okay, that works. So we will send that. All previous actions. Sweet. I am envisioning, and I know that you've never done this before, like done it this way before, because we're making this up as we go, which is why I'm over explaining. But I'm kind of envisioning that this would be like a Zoom call, and you would pull up the shot list and the timeline and like go over it with them, like as you're talking. And then if they have any like revisions they want to make, you can like make them while you're on the call with them. That way, can like 15 minutes after the call send this over to them. So my question would be, when we send this, do you want this to be like, hey, here's the final version? Or do you want them to still have the opportunity to like request some changes on it once we email it?
Well, I think that you understand that like literally the day of, they could be like, actually, we're not doing this and we're doing this. Yeah. So I guess I think that making it editable or like that they can change it would be good, as long as like, is there a way that I can be notified that they've made changes?
Yeah, and so when they make changes, what it's really going to be is it's a, here, I'll show you exactly what I'm going to make for you, but like customized. So it's these boxes of like revisions you'd like to make. So they would be like typing in here and hitting submit. They're not actually changing like the list, or like, here's the timeline. There's just like a revisions box down.
Okay.
So yes, and you are notified by default anytime somebody submits a draft or submits the questionnaire. So
cool.
We'll be notified.
Cool.
1 second. Okay, pausing 1 moment. I'm sorry.
You're okay. You're okay.
Okay, so this will be, oops. So 15 minutes after the consultation is when we'll send this, you know, hey client, thanks for your time on our consultation. Thank you for connecting. This is very upsetting.
You're just lucky my kids aren't here.
I'm gonna mute myself and type while this is going on. Okay, thanks for your time in our consultation. I enjoyed connecting. Here is the shot list and timeline we went over for your review. Feel free to request additional revisions. Just make sure you hit save draft or submit at the bottom. Okay, so then we'll send that. Okay, so just a little time check. We have about 5 more minutes. So let's try to get through this like in record speed. Do you communicate with them anymore between like sending them this, between that consultation and between like the actual wedding day?
I guess the only thing I do is I confirm time and location, like just to give them some confidence that like, hey, I am going to show up at this time. This is where I'm going. And the reason I do that is just in case anything changes. Like I've had my wedding a couple weekends ago. I sent them like, hey, you know, I'm showing up at this time at this location. And he's like, no, actually show up here. Because like they did a last minute change. But that's literally like, maybe if it would be an email, I would say probably like if they're getting married on Saturday, like Thursday, I would send that.
Okay. So let's say 3 days before the wedding. Hey, client. So excited about the wedding. I will be there I will be at this location at this time on this date. Let me know if anything has changed. And then I've got some content I can give you. And here are a few last minute reminders. So this will be like, you know, make sure you have all your details together, like that kind of thing. We can just like along with it so that it's like not just, so we're just giving them lots of value there. So that's 3 days before. Anything else?
I don't think so. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so. You got it.
Yeah.
So then we do the wedding. And then I'm kind of hoping that this all looks very similar to this, but
yeah. Oh, there we go.
Okay, so after the wedding, so immediately after project end date, we go to editing.
Mm-hmm.
Edit wedding. And then do you want to send some kind of email? Maybe it's not 1 hour, maybe it's the next day and you say congrats, or do you already like what does our communication look like from here?
Yes, I would say maybe I would say like at least 24 hours after. And then I would just my wedding I say again 4 to 6 weeks. So if you want to put 6 weeks, and then if I finish it earlier, then it can be.
So, and do you still do like sneak peek previews for them as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
and I mean, if the previews aren't going to be in this initial email, I mean, it could go out like an hour after.
That could, I mean, if you're there till 9 or 10, like emailing them, I think it does make more sense to like email them the next day and just be like, congrats, a reminder, you know, as you enjoy your honeymoon, just know I'm working on your photos, like that kind of thing.
Cool.
Then you'll send your sneak peek, you'll send the final gallery. Do you do any other communication with them during this editing time?
No.
Okay, and then they're delivered. Do you ask for reviews?
I would love to include that because I'm pretty introverted, and if I have to ask someone for something, it doesn't happen. So if it's in an email, like, hey, I'd love to, you know, I've thought about even doing like a questionnaire because I love feedback, but I don't know, it's like a waste of time for me or not.
So I think it depends on what your goal here is. Like if you just want feedback, if you just want to read some nice things and like have some testimonials that you could like put on your website, then we could do like a form that they fill out. If you want them to post like public reviews that other people can see, then we should just direct them to your Facebook or to your Google link. So either way, though, this email will go automatically, maybe like 4 days after you sent the gallery.
Okay.
Does that seem right?
Good. Yeah.
So which way do you think you'd like to go? Just like collecting some testimonials and feedback. And a lot of times what I'll do, just so you know, for the review, like if we're sending them to Google, what I'll say is like, if you loved your experience, will you please go review me? Like if you're unhappy with something, please tell me, like, please email me back and let me know so that we can talk it out. So it's not guaranteed that they wouldn't go leave a bad review if something happened, but like it, you know, I do try to phrase it where it's like, here are your two choices. Go leave a review that you love me or privately tell me that you don't. Like that kind of.
I like it. Let's do that.
Okay. So leave a review if you love me. Okay. Is there any
do you want to stop there for now? I don't want to make you
stop with the weddings. And then, but what I'm hoping is that maybe doing this, you might, I can send you the link to this so you can review it and maybe that'll help. But maybe now that you kind of know what I'm looking for, you could just type on like a Google Doc what you do for your other session types.
Okay.
And then, you don't have to necessarily be all up on like the project statuses and stuff like that. I can handle that, or even the to-dos I can handle unless there's a particular to-do you want. I just need to know like,
yeah,
what you communicate to the client and when. Like that's
Cool.
that's what it ultimately comes down to.
Perfect.
Okay. So I will share this link with you. That way, if you have any more like thoughts that stuff we missed, you can add it. And then if you could work on that Google Doc as soon as possible, that'd be good. And then I can send over your implementation questionnaire because that'll be customized based on all of your workflows, not just based on your wedding workflow.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Hope that you enjoyed this. I'm going to stop recording now.